Imagine a lonely highway in Georgia where an elderly African-American couple is pulled over by two officers who mock them while searching their car without cause. But what these officers don't know is that the man behind the wheel, Lawrence Larry DuBois, isn't just any retiree. He's a retired civil rights attorney who's built courtrooms his entire life, and now he's about to drag them into one. This is a story of dignity, resistance, and the power of justice in the face of arrogance. Stay until the end, because what happens in that courtroom will change everything. If this story grabs you, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more impactful tales like this. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss anything and leave us a comment with. Where are you listening from? It was a quiet afternoon on Highway 84, just outside Valdosta, Georgia. Tall pine trees lined the two-lane road, and the sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of orange. Clarence DuBois, a 70-year-old African-American man, drove his 10-year-old Buick with both hands firmly on the wheel at the 10 and 2 position. Beside him, his wife, Evelyn, serene as ever, watched the scenery. They had spent the weekend with their grandchildren in Jackson, Mississippi, and were now returning home to Tallahassee. The left-turn signal was still blinking, even though they had been stopped for almost a minute. "Why did they pull us over?" Evelyn asked, her voice low but firm. "They said it was a broken taillight," Clarence replied, checking his side mirror. "But our lights aren't broken." Evelyn nodded. She knew. The patrol car's blue lights flashed behind them, illuminating the trees like a strobe light. Two officers approached slowly, one on Clarence's side, the other on Evelyn's. Clarence rolled his window down halfway. The officer on the driver's side, tall, white, in his 30s, with short hair and mirrored sunglasses, spoke in a dry tone. "License and registration, and step out of the vehicle, sir." Clarence blinked, surprised but calm. "Excuse me, is there a reason you're asking me to step out?" The officer, whose badge identified him as Officer Jenkins, clenched his jaw. "You got a problem following a lawful order?" Clarence remained calm. "I just want to understand the reason. You said it was for a taillight." The other officer, shorter and stockier, approached Evelyn's side. "Ma'am, keep your hands where I can see them." Evelyn didn't flinch. "They've been here the whole time, officer." The situation escalated quickly. Within minutes, Clarence was out of the car, hands on the hood, being patted down. Jenkins seemed annoyed that Clarence wasn't reacting as expected. No anger, no panic, just calm questions. "Why are you traveling through here?" Jenkins asked. "We're coming back from visiting family in Jackson," Clarence responded. The officer sneered. "Long trip, carrying anything you shouldn't be." Clarence looked him directly in the eye. "Sir, I'm a retired attorney. I know my rights. You don't have probable cause for a search." Those words irritated Jenkins more than anything. "Probable cause? You think you're smarter than me?" Clarence met his gaze. "I didn't say that. I'm saying I know what the law requires." Jenkins let out a low laugh and muttered something under his breath. Clarence didn't catch everything, but he heard "loudmouth old man" and "should have stayed home." Evelyn was also forced out of the car. She did so with dignified grace, never losing her composure. The officers searched the vehicle, rummaged through bags, opened the trunk, and found nothing. After 10 long minutes, Jenkins returned with a ticket in his hand. "Broken taillight," he said. Clarence took the paper. "We'll be looking into this." The officers walked away, laughing among themselves, while Clarence already knew he was going to fight that ticket. Back in the car, Evelyn remained silent for several miles. Then she said, "They thought we'd be scared." Clarence nodded. "They don't know who we are." She looked at him. "Did you get their badge numbers?" He patted his jacket pocket. Every word, every detail. She smiled slightly. "Good. Then let's remind them who we are." At the Lowndes County Sheriff's Department, Officer Carl Jenkins had his feet on the desk, biting into a gas station burrito as if he hadn't just harassed an elderly couple. They just stood there, didn't even raise their voices, he told Tyler Nash, who was looking at his phone. Nash laughed. The guy was talking about laws like he was a Harvard professor, driving an old Buick. "Don't give me that civil rights talk." Jenkins, still chewing, added, "Yeah, he seemed like one of those types who always wants to get away with something. I thought a ticket would shut him up." What they didn't know was that Clarence had recorded the entire encounter, not with a phone, but in his brown leather notebook with neat, timed notes. That's how he had built his career, and that habit had helped him bring down men far more dangerous than Jenkins. Back in Tallahassee, Clarence was in his study, reviewing his notebook as Evelyn watched from the window. "You think you're smarter than me?" she commented, still surprised. Clarence didn't look up. That's the second time he said it. The first was when I asked why they wanted to search the car. Evelyn nodded. Nash said I seemed nervous that gave them the right. Clarence dog-eared the page and closed the notebook. That's absurd. He picked up the landline phone and dialed a number from memory. After 3 rings, a female voice answered. "Rosalind, it's Clarence DuBois." There was a pause, then a warm welcome. "Clarence, it's been years since I heard your voice." "Everything all right?" Clarence sighed. "Not really. Evelyn and I were stopped on a highway. 2 officers. Aggressive stop, unjustified search." Rosalind was silent for a moment. "Tell me you got names." "Jenkins and Nash." Another pause. "I've heard those names before. Internal Affairs flagged them last year, but the sheriff's office covered it up. I'll see what I can find." Days later, in their dining room converted into a legal headquarters, Clarence and Evelyn worked with Rosalind. Documents, previous complaints, and internal records revealed a pattern. Jenkins had been suspended for excessive force. Nash had a warning for discriminatory remarks. "This isn't just about us," Clarence said. "It's about everyone who's gone through this and didn't have the tools to fight back." Evelyn pulled out her old judge's gavel. "Then we do it right. With facts, witnesses, motions, not with emotions." On the day of a hearing, the line outside the courthouse was endless. Some knew DuBois's name. Others had seen the headline. "Retired civil rights attorney challenges sheriff's department over unjust stop." Inside, the atmosphere was dense, charged with expectation. Clarence, in a charcoal gray suit and burgundy tie, adjusted his knot in front of the mirror. Evelyn, elegant in a cream blazer and blue dress, carried her judge's briefcase for the first time in a decade. They entered together, slow, firm, silent. In the room, Jenkins and Nash were rigid, with wrinkled shirts and crooked ties. The county attorney argued it was a routine stop. When it was Clarence's turn to speak, his voice resonated with calm authority. "My wife and I were stopped without cause, searched without reason, and insulted without consequence. This isn't about an inconvenience. It's about a violation that erodes your dignity little by little until you stop asking questions." Judge Marcia Delano listened intently. Clarence continued. "They can say the officers didn't know who I was. That's true. But they acted as if it didn't matter. And that's the problem." On the third day, the courtroom was packed. Rosalind presented gas station camera footage showing the Buick's taillights working perfectly minutes before the stop. Dispatch records confirmed that Jenkins reported no suspicion before the incident. Clarence cross-examined Jenkins with surgical precision. Which taillight was broken? Jenkins hesitated. "The left one." Clarence showed the image. "This photo, taken 6 minutes prior, shows both lights working. Can you point out which one was broken?" Silence. Then Clarence revealed his notebook. "You'd be surprised to know I wrote down every word you said, including when you called me a loudmouth old man." Jenkins swallowed hard. Nash didn't fare any better on the stand. Clarence exposed a pattern of conduct, backed by previous complaints, leaving both officers exposed. On the last day, Clarence began with a personal story. "When I was 9 years old, my father was stopped on his way home. They searched him in the street, made him lie on the sidewalk. He came home with torn clothes and a broken voice. I asked him why he didn't fight. He said, 'Because if I did, you might never see me again.'" He paused. "I thought laws would prevent that. But again and again, I saw those rules ignored against people who looked like my father. And last week, it happened to me." His voice sharpened. "This isn't about hurt feelings. It's about the abuse of power, about 2 men who thought they could decide who deserved dignity and who didn't." The ruling came quickly. Judge Delano found in favor of the DuBois, ordering the officer's suspension, a public apology, and monetary damages. "Let this ruling serve as a reminder that a badge does not grant immunity," she said. Reporters swarmed, but Clarence was brief. "We didn't come to make noise. We came to make a point. It's not about who you are, but about what's right." Weeks later, Clarence was in front of law students at Florida A&M, sharing his case as a lesson. Evelyn, meanwhile, founded a nonprofit organization to offer legal aid to rural communities. The story spread, inspiring others. One day, Clarence received an anonymous letter. "I saw what you did. I'm applying to law school." He placed it in his notebook alongside the case file. This story isn't just about a man and a woman who faced injustice. It's a reminder that change begins when someone decides to say enough. What inspired you about this story? What would you do in their place? Leave us a comment with where you're listening from and share thoughts. If you believe this story deserves to be heard, share it, because silence never changes anything.